Now I look like a fighter pilot.
Can you hear me?
I now can hear you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I am so sorry. It's something
Nope.
I share a computer with my son, and I believe we keep going back and forth with the speakers on whether they're on or off.
That's okay. Are you comfortable using the headset, or would you prefer to take a second and see if you can get your speakers working?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, this makes me look like I fly airplanes for a living, right?
Okay, fantastic. So welcome, Ms. Hill.
Thank you.
We very much thank you for agreeing to do this. As I explained when we spoke to set it up, the format is, the only time limit is 20 minutes. It's 20 minutes for the entire interview. I do have 7 questions to guide the conversation, but how long you take to answer each one is up to you. I will not interrupt your question unless we get to the end of your answer, unless we get to the end of 20 minutes. And when you stop an answer and are under 10 minutes for the first time, I'll let you know that half your time is gone, just so that you can keep track of your time. So are there any questions on the format?
No. How are you? How's your day going? You just want to like loosen up a little bit. You look tense.
Yeah, no, it's going okay. It's a lot we decided to tackle both Hillsborough and Pinellas school board races. And so to fit everyone in has been a lot. So it's true. And then, technology is great, but then also challenging. So
yeah, now you know how the kids feel when they're doing their homeschooling. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. When we ran our Educate Hillsborough program, which was a leadership program, and our last class had to be online, we definitely said to the participants, now you're learning what it's like to be a student, in these interesting times.
How many participants were there? Like over 100?
In the Educate Hillsborough program, there were 35 fellows the first year.
Okay. I thought it was a big
kind of a class cohort.
Wow.
Okay, so we're going to start with the first question. So the Alliance for Public Schools was founded because we believe that the good news often doesn't get out and that people need to know what's going on. And so we'd like to start on a positive note and have you tell us what you love about public schools.
I'm so grateful that you're asking a positive question right off the jump. I love everything about public schools. I've been a public educator for 17 years. I taught in Illinois, and then I taught in the state of Florida for 15. My personal children only go to public schools. I personally only went to public schools. I believe that the only way we're going to prop up the public education system is if great families keep going to and supporting public schools. I love the sports. I love the arts. I love the events. I love the community feel. I love that each individual school to me that I've ever been in feels like a family. Like the people there are vested in one another. They know each other. They care and they take care of one another. So public schools to me are just an extension of family now, because so many people travel and they're everywhere. This is a way for us to all have someplace where we belong. It's all community.
Thank you. The next question is, what are the attributes of an effective school board member? Which attributes are your strengths and which do you struggle with?
The attributes of the school board member are the fact that they know that they are a member. They're not a single rogue entity that's pushing their one agenda, that they collaborate and speak to the team members always before making a decision. The biggest struggle would probably be the district is so large. There's so many schools that need to be serviced, so many voices that need to be heard. I would struggle desperately with making sure that I'm meeting with each individual school, but I would do it. And I would get out into the buildings and talk to those individual administrators and teachers and PTA presidents and organizations like yourself to make sure that we're hearing everything. And then I do not struggle at all with going back to a group and saying, hey, these are my findings. This is what I've learned, or disaggregating the data and saying, this is what research says matters. And this is why we should do it based on my findings right here in our own community.
The next question is, what role does family and community engagement play in public schools?
The families are the driving force. I mean, the community is the driving force. We exist because they exist. We're here because they paid their tax dollars to ensure that we could provide services for their family. It's not just the child that's in the building. It's everybody that walks past the school, through the school, around the school. The schools are in many places, maybe even the heart of the community where they are. So the families that live there get to decide the flavor, the style, the uniqueness, what makes that school special. And it's not a competition. It's just that some schools excel at one thing and other schools excel at others, and we should be excited about everybody's achievements. There's room for all of us to achieve and be successful and feel happy in the school district, in our individual schools.
So the next answer, no, this is the question. If you are elected to serve this term on the board, how do schools, the district, and community look different in 4 years?
Well, first off, I'm really concerned about the fact that we have so many schools that are performing or underperforming rather. And I'm concerned at the way we're determining that they're underperforming. I mean, using standardized testing to tell people, oh, your school is at this letter grade, I don't think it captures correctly what's going on inside of those buildings. We need to find better ways to capture what's going on in those schools. There should be more credit given to the positivity and the fact that the kids are nurtured and loved and feel healthy and safe, and that they get to and from school on time, or, you know, get in and out of classes or meeting it with their teachers in the best way possible on a daily basis. So in 4 years, what I'd like to see is that those underperforming schools are no longer on that list anymore. We should be one of the best school districts in the state of Florida. Hillsborough is huge. It's well financed. It's capable. We have resources for days. We have arts. We have culture. We have science. We have all the services that we could possibly need. I think that school boards and the administration here can find a way to pull it together. We could do so much better. We could become the shining star of the state. It's within our grasp. So that should be our goal, is bring those underperforming schools back up, change the way that we're grading schools in general, and change the way that we're grading teachers, and decide this is what's meaningful and this is what's important. And then we lead the charge for the state.
Next question is, if it wants to come up, what kind of school board member will you be if elected?
I'm pretty sure I would be different. I know that there's probably stereotypes that exist about teachers, and I've never met those stereotypes, at least not very well. I mean, I got the clothes, okay? I dress like a teacher, but in terms of, do I have, you know, the same kind of approach to the world as the average teacher? No. I've been a computer and education business teacher for the bulk of my career, which meant that I focus a lot on certifications. I focus a lot on business alliances. I focus on internships. I focus a lot on teaching kids job skills, resumes, interviews. And I relate school to what life's going to be like on the outside once they're done with school. I'm always tying that around. And at the same time, I'm trying to give them great advice about college, funding for college, scholarships, internships while they're there, and what classes they should be taking when they're in high school, or you know, so that they're set up in the best possible way to be successful, whatever they choose to do upon graduation. So I'm just very, very student focused. I just happen to be a teacher that's been caught in the vice grips of the public education system, and I've muddled my way through it and found my best way forward and empathized deeply with my coworkers. But I was always different because I was that teacher that was just doing something different, doing it differently, teaching it online, teaching computers. I've always been, kids are self-study, students choose their own way that they're going to be graded in a lot of cases. They choose when they're going to be graded, they choose how. I feel like I've done this successfully for so many years that I could show the board that these options are possible to students, where you can let kids show you their best skills, talents, and abilities in a way that works for them, as opposed to forcing some rigorous standard or some test on them to say, okay, yes, checkbox, you've mastered that. I'm always been about the project, the outcome, and the test was secondary to me. It didn't matter as long as you showed me that you understood and you had mastery because you could do it. So that makes me a little bit different. I've always been a union member, so I would bring to respect to the union if I was sitting on the board. I have nothing but respect for what they do and how they represent the students or represent teachers. I think that the union in Hillsborough County could be stronger, and if they became stronger, I would be glad to watch that happen and to maybe even help facilitate that. I've again been a mom that's put all my personal children through public schools, so I've seen the ins and outs of the magnet schools, the charter programs. What's it like to get through AP, IB, dual enrollment? You know, I've done all of those things, and I can be a guide to maybe other people on the board or people who are making decisions about students and families. I can say, well, as a family person, I know from personal experience, this is what people have struggled with and what you can offer. I'm endorsed for special education and gifted education. So I know the ins and outs of 504 plans, education plans, dual diagnosis treatment plans. I have absolutely nothing but empathy again for families that are struggling to make sure that their students are getting their needs met for their individual students that have IEPs, and yet they're brilliant children. But for whatever reason, they can't do it the way the school's asking them to do it, and yet they're amazing. They can absolutely do what the world needs them to do. The school doesn't need to put them in a box. We can find a way to make sure that the kids are being promoted and graduating and doing what they love and showing it in a way that they're capable. So I just have all that different perspective that I'm bringing to the table. Just the business perspective. I have the project-based learning perspective. I have the empathy and restorative justice perspective. I'm deeply concerned about what I see in equity and diversity for students. Our graduating Black males in Hillsborough County are full 10% behind in their graduation rate compared to their white colleagues. That's unacceptable. What are we doing? I want to investigate that as a school board member. I don't want to sweep it under the rug and pretend like that doesn't exist. So I just bring a lot of diversity to the school board and a lot of knowledge and a lot of research and a lot of curiosity and a willingness to work collaboratively. And you know what? I'll probably even make mistakes, and I'm okay with that because that's how we all learn.
You just went under 10 minutes. You're at 9 minutes and 27 seconds left. What are the responsibilities of the school board and individual school board members related to public education advocacy?
Individually, we need to be seeking out those business partnerships. We need to be seeking out the grant programs. We need to be seeking out any specialized funding that could be available, and not holding on to that data ourselves. We need to make sure we're sharing it with the board, maybe collaborating with other board members, but individually, always having your ear to the wall and listening to find out where else can we go to get what our students need. Likewise, individually, you gotta go and be in every single one of the schools. You need to meet the administrators. You need to meet the staff, the leadership team, the people that are in the building. You need to see the students. You gotta stay in touch. You gotta stay involved. They should know who I am and why I'm there, and they should be comfortable with that. When I show up, it should be a thing of, oh gosh, we're so glad to see you. We can't wait to talk to you. Is there any way you could tell the superintendent about this? Because I think a face-to-face conversation is going to have so much more impact than an email. I'm sure Addison Davis probably gets thousands of emails a day, and he can't possibly sift through all of them. But school board members have his eye-to-eye contact at least once a week. So it is our job to make sure we're bringing to his attention the things that is going on in our individual schools, or things that we know about just as being members of the community that could make the schools better. Again, those are those partnerships, those business opportunities, those grants, or any federal dollars that we can scrape together to make the schools better.
So the last question is, what does constituent outreach and constituent services look like under you as a school board member?
I can only approach it from my experience as a teacher. I was a district specialist for IT. It may take me a minute to shift gears on that. I'm going to be honest with you, because I'm used to going into schools and observing the technology and making an assessment and immediately fixing it. Standing in the gap. I know exactly what I see and what I'm talking about, and I know how to go back and engage with the IT or the curriculum and development department. I speak both of their languages, and I can say, this isn't working because, or this is what they need, and this is how we can get it. And I can go to vendors and look up the pricing and help those schools get those things solved. But I can't step out of my lane. I would be a regular school board, a regular human being at this point, and I would not be allowed probably to put my hands on the equipment, which is what I was used to doing, as an employee of the school board or a district that was required to go in and make sure equipment worked and that technology worked and software was working, running reports, etc. I could do that. So here I would have to pace myself, but at least I know the right questions to ask, I know who to talk to, and I know who to go back to at the district level and explain, this is what the schools are experiencing, and this is how I know it can get fixed, because I've done it before and we can do it here. I'm sure IT technology is the one thing I hear everybody complaining about, especially during COVID. And I'm the only person running in this seat that had, first off, taught through COVID, has taught computers their whole life. I've always had a blended learning community, and I worked in the Office of School Improvement in IT, and that was my entire job, was looking at software, hardware, and computer labs and people in those labs and making sure that they worked. And I'm telling you, when I did this, I had 29 challenge schools under me. And in a couple of years, we turned 29 challenge schools into only 3 challenge schools. So from an IT perspective, I know what we can do in the individual schools in Hillsborough County to at least move the ball forward so that more students are getting what they need in the buildings or at home if they're working from home.
So that is the last question. You have 4 minutes and about just over 30 seconds. If there's anything that you haven't touched upon that you think is really important to get out there, please, the floor is yours. Say whatever you like.
Well, I tell you, I read your community priorities, and I'm in awe. I know you've been in Pinellas County. I know you've been in Hillsborough County, and I have vaguely on the periphery heard about what you guys do, but I am in awe, and I can't agree more with so many of your ideas about holistic schools that provide connection, teaching, science, teaching facts, talking about restorative justice or making sure that kids are graduating. I think it sounds to me like you as a program would like to see more teachers on the school board, or at least people on the board that are speaking with teachers in the school buildings to make sure that their needs are being honored or their voices are being heard. So I'm excited about that. I love that you're taking into the account health and safety. That is a huge near and dear to my heart as well. I feel like at the end of COVID, we are desperately worried about the mental health and the physical well-being of what students have gone through in the last few months. I think that not very many people have thought about what we're going to see when these kids do walk through the door, if and when they do walk through the door again. Get ready to get your hearts broken, because these kids have been suffering and they need us. And as much as I want them to be safe and healthy at home, getting an education, the school might be the last shot for them to make sure that that's actually happening. They're being fed and they're being well cared for. So I'd say reach out to me. I have a Gmail account's best way, or you can call me at 904-652-4413. You can find me on Facebook. It's a Jennifer Hill Teacher for You. And I hope that I can be the sensible choice in Hillsborough County with fresh eyes, new ideas, well-trained, well-documented, but not indoctrinated with Hillsborough County in any way. I want to just come in and I want to be a part of the change that has no choice, but it's coming. Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're not doing endorsements, or I'm trying to be as neutral as possible so that
I understand. I'm not
I do appreciate, I will state that I appreciate that you actually looked at our organization before doing the interview. I will say that much, because that we have lots of parents and community members who are passionate about those priorities that you brought up. So thank you very much.
You know, I feel like I'm remiss if I don't reach out and try to join your organization, no matter what, no matter what happens, because I've just resigned my teaching position in Pinellas County. I am now opening a business. That's the only reason I resigned. It had nothing to do with education at all. It's just that I have a passion to sell chocolate. So that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything to you. So, but I do want to be a part of this. So I'm going to go onto your advocacy site and I'll fill out some paperwork if you don't mind, because this is everything you guys believe in. It's everything I've been screaming about for so long.
So we appreciate that. It is totally community driven. Those priorities started as 4 and have expanded to where they are now because the community has told us across our districts. So we're in Hillsborough, Pinellas, Orange, and Volusia. And as of this school year, we will launch in Osceola.
Good, good.
So we thank you for the support, and we will be posting all of these interviews online on Monday morning. That's how long it's taking me to finish all of them in Hillsborough and Pinellas.
I'm sorry.
And
you
so
have my sympathy.
I have developed a lot of sympathy for school board member candidates who have been doing this on the other side, because now I'm trying to do one with every candidate. So as soon as we do post them, we will send them out to our subscribers in the appropriate counties, and we'll also promote them on social media. We will also email you a link so that if you want to use any portion of your video, in your campaign materials, you're welcome to do so. So thank you so much for your time, Jennifer. And
you don't see the conflict at all if I try to join or become a member for you guys. So again, I'm not looking for an endorsement. I just believe in what you're doing, and I want to be. We
would hope, we would actually hope that anybody who considers running for school board at any point in time would join us. Okay. Anyone who's involved in public schools. We work with teachers and community members and whatnot, so we would welcome everyone's input.
Good. All right. Well, you are a delight, and good luck with your interviews. Am I the last for the day?
I have 2 more today, 1 tomorrow, and 2 Monday morning. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.